Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined by Shannon D and Jacques Davi.
Hello.
Hey.
Guys, I'm so excited. We've got a jam-packed episode.
So much.
Veritable epperoo.
Yep.
I actually forgot a little detail that I meant to tell you guys before, though, when I went to Henderson, Nevada. Shout out to dear listeners Deontay and Violetta, who showed up. Gems and a half, brought their friends to the stand-up show. But the funny part of this was that how Violetta discovered the pod is hilarious.
Oh.
So I didn't tell you this, right?
No.
This is new, right? Okay.
I don't think so.
I don't know if you guys know the story. I kind of forget when you guys came into my life. I'm trying to forget. And I remember I went to Vegas to meet up with the listener. Do you remember that story?
Not really.
Oh, maybe this was before your time. So she was like, whatever, like drunk or something. And she was like, yeah, no problem. You can sleep on my couch or my pull-up bed or whatever. Yes. And I was like, okay, cool. And it was Saturday night in Vegas on a holiday weekend. And I was like, all right, I'll head over. On the drive there, she was like being weird. She's like, I feel sick. And I was like, oh God, what's going on? And then I'm halfway there. I eat a huge Mexican meal, and then like 20 minutes after leaving the halfway point, now I'm closer to Vegas. She texts me like, hey, I'm sorry, I just can't have anyone over. And I'm like, what the hell? Like,
yes.
Now I have to get a hotel. And so then I had to go to Whiskey Dick's, and that's like the worst place ever in Prim. And anyway, she made it up to me, but like, she ended up taking me out for dinner the next night.
Okay.
So we had a little dinner.
Yeah.
So she kind of made up for it, whatever. But the way she told Violetta the story, she was like, yeah, this fucking like weird podcast guy like was like, whatever. And I don't know that she was shitting on me, but that was kind of the angle. Like, yeah, he like super eagerly like ran to Vegas, and then I had to like buy him a dinner because I felt bad. And she was kind of spinning the story of like, this guy kind of sucks or whatever. And then Violetta heard the story and was like, I'm intrigued about that podcast, and then started listening to it and felt guilty. And so it was like an awkward thing where eventually she was like, hey, is it cool? I actually kind of listen to that podcast now.
Wait, did the other woman still listen?
I think, I don't know. I think she stopped. I don't know.
Yeah.
She had to buy a dinner and she was out.
Yeah, she's like, screw
costing
that.
her too much.
But,
that's crazy.
pretty funny.
Well, we traded in one listener for another.
Net gain. Well, I guess it's just a push.
No, we love Violetta.
Net gain, fine.
We
net
love
gain.
Violetta and Deontay. Thanks, guys, for coming to the show. I hope I see
for listening.
guys around. All right, guys, we got a lot of juice today, so we're gonna hop right into it. This is our news segment covering the news. This is a little bit of a follow-up because we covered Miranda Lambert before. Some of you may remember that she basically, somebody in her audience took this elaborate group photo and she called them out. And Shannon and I ruled on this. So this is a follow-up to that. This was another news story here. Shannon.
AITA for wearing a provocative shirt to a Miranda Lambert concert. After hearing about a group of concert goers who took a picture at Miranda's concert, I decided to attend with a bit of distracting flair of my own. I had a custom shirt made that said, "Shoot tequila, not selfies." Miranda noticed the shirt and called me a badass. Plus, she drank the tequila I gave her. It went over well, but some could argue it was distracting. AITA?
I love this because I feel like this is now our third concert situation that we've talked about in the news.
Yep.
We had Ashes at the Pink concert. We had the other Lambert. We had this one. I love this because this is, to me, a perfect case of technically distracting, but like you're just wearing a shirt. The artist can notice it. They can then have a choice whether or not they want to react or not. Miranda saw the shirt. It wasn't too inflammatory. It wasn't mean. It didn't have a slur on it. It was a funny shirt that referenced the situation. She saw it. She chose to engage with it. That's her right. Perfect. This is exactly what you are allowed to do at a concert.
I think so too.
Yeah,
Why not?
It's up to
love
the artist
that.
on if they want to take a drink from somebody in the crowd. I'd probably advise against it most of the time.
Could be a bit dicey. Could be a bit dicey.
There's actually a wrestler I'm a big fan of, Adam Page. He used to, part of his act would be take a beer from the crowd and drink it from them. And it got a huge pop every time. People loved it because it fit in with his like cowboy gimmick or whatever else. But he did stop doing it at a certain point because then he was just publicly like, yeah, I kind of realized that might be a bit not juice might not be worth the squeeze in terms of risk on that one.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially since it's his gimmick now. Like, you know, there's some crazy people that'd be like, well, we know that he takes a drink, so like we could fuck with him or something.
Yeah. There's
put acid in there.
I think they actually made a company policy that nobody in the company is allowed to take drinks or food from anyone in the crowd anymore, which is probably good rule
company?
of thumb. AEW, the
wrestling,
promotion.
Yeah. One thing I just want to point out again in this is group photos are not selfies unless you're taking them with your goddamn arm. What is up with people? They're calling these selfies now. I mean, I know Miranda, she probably just fucked it up or something.
Yeah.
She didn't realize, but it's like selfies are only when someone is taking it with their arm.
Yeah.
Okay?
This is the most I've ever seen her take a stand. She felt this one.
Yeah, you were going up. You had a little go off on that.
AITA for wearing a provocative shirt to a Miranda Lambert concert. I think this is a YTH. I think this is also validating to Miranda.
YTA?
YTH. You're the hero.
Oh, you're the hero.
Because it kind of validated
That's a
her.
rare one for us.
And she deserved it. I mean, it was a fun, cute thing.
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
great.
maybe
A good little
it's cute.
callback
It's
to the
cute.
situation. And also, guys, I just want to say I have the best selfie arm in the game.
Oh, now we see what this was.
I have the
Self-serving
longest
PSA.
arm ever. I am a selfie
Your arm
stick.
is long. Oh my
You got a
God.
wingspan.
I
Shannon,
take
put that thing away.
really
Shannon,
good
get it off
selfies.
me. Get that thing off me.
It's just on you.
Patting
Wow.
my cat in the
Hitting
other
you.
room.
Stick out your arm and Shannon stick out your arm. That's crazy. That's kind of close. You got yourself a fishing reel
Shannon
there.
probably has a proportionally longer
Chungus
wingspan than mine.
arm.
My
Really?
wingspan is a
Chonker.
couple inches longer than I am tall, but you don't
Oh.
notice it as much because I'm tall.
I was gonna say, Shannon, you would make a great pterodactyl.
I would.
Is that what pterodactyls What if we'd gotten dinosaur noises
Noisy
all
one, that
wrong,
girl.
and pterodactyls are just like womp.
They're deep.
Yeah.
I think we got all of the dinosaur stuff wrong. It's like, how do they know?
Yeah, because they just got bones and stuff. I mean, they were more like chickens and birds.
Birds.
We picture them all sturdy and
Yeah.
shit, but they really weren't.
There's
They
a
were
lot
more
of good
like
stuff
birds.
online now. You can see like the way that we depicted dinosaurs back in the 1800s to the 1900s
that's
to the
interesting.
90s
I
to
wanna
now.
look that
It's a
up.
very interesting like change as we've come to understand
Yeah.
them more. Because I was a dinosaur kid, you know, when like kids pick between.
I agree. You're a
trucks
dinosaur
or
adult as well. You're a
dinosaurs.
fucking T-Rex, my man.
No, I got way longer arms than a T-Rex.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, true.
All right, this one is about a big cultural topic perhaps you have heard of. It will be a little bit in the past at this point, but here we go.
Yeah.
AITA for changing my company's name and logo because I thought of something way cooler. I, 52M, am the relatively new owner of a high-profile tech company. I've been trying to shake things up and make it more my style. It used to be the branding was some lame pun about bird noises with like a wimpy dove pigeon as the logo. So I made it a cool black and white X. And now we're calling the company X. And now all the haters say I'm devaluing the company. But I think my CEO, Linda, said it best. X is the future state of unlimited interactivity centered in audio, video, messaging, payments, banking, creating a global marketplace for ideas, goods, services, and opportunities. Some nerds say, you're just describing the internet. Yeah, they're all betas. So Xers, AITA.
Oh God, Xers.
Doing the write up for this, I realized
Crushed
what a
it.
truly stupid idea this was. Just having to Google ex CEO's statement about rebrand to X from Twitter. Like it's such a difficult thing to wrap your mind around. And now I'm here. I've already heard announcers in different sports or whatever where they used to say it's already trending on Twitter, and it comes out so unnaturally off of their tongues when they say this X is trending on X. Nobody knows what to say.
And what is up with these companies who already have such a high caliber fucking brand out there in the world are now changing it up? Like HBO Max is now Max. What the fuck is that?
No,
they shortened it.
I'm with Shannon on that.
No, fuck that. I hate
HBO
it.
had this built-in high value. You associate HBO with super quality.
Oh yeah,
you understand it as
top-tier
premier
channel.
So when you take HBO out, it's almost like you're saying, "Hey, this isn't going to be as good as it used to be."
Yeah,
that's the subconscious.
I just don't want
name it Max, which is just like a person's name.
That's your boyfriend's
the best
name.
person I've ever known.
It's taken.
Well,
It's
that's your problem.
taken. It's taken.
That should be fun for you.
He likes it, but I hate it.
He likes it. That's very funny.
Hey, hun, you want to watch me tonight?
Yeah. I guess I just don't want to reduce the fact that I do think the Max thing is a little bit more understandable than this because okay. She was scary there. That was scary, Shannon. So there was a great tweet I read that was tweet Zeet, I guess it might be called now.
Oh God.
Just like none of the other social media platforms, like you could say post, like to some extent, but like tweet, retweet. That's one specific platform. And like there was a guy who estimated that this was going to basically throw away between $4 billion and $20 billion of brand value for Twitter.
Oh, really?
So is he really a big old business genius?
No, he sucks.
He's petty. He's a petty egomaniac. And I feel like it's very obvious to see that the guy had to back out of a fight with Mark Zuckerberg because of his mommy.
We all wanted it to happen.
We wanted it
would have
so
been so
bad.
It
good.
would have been the funniest thing in the history of the world.
It would have been so delicious.
It would have been
It
so
would have been like two guys like they like waving.
Well,
like,
Zuck actually knows how to
fight.
fight apparently, and he's kind of shredded.
He's pretty shredded.
I would have been so fine with
pretty
seeing
built.
Musk get the shit kicked
But
out of him.
also, Elon like is kind of shredded too, isn't
No,
he?
what?
No,
He's a
built like
chalker.
he's built like a barrel. He's like
stocky,
just this
yeah.
like stocky guy.
Stocky.
I don't think he's had to pour cereal for him. So not like he eats cereal. He probably eats like a protein.
He probably
brick
eats
every day.
human flesh. Let's face it, children.
Oh God! And then what is his kid's name? It's like
Zeta.
Well, and that's something I think
Yes.
everybody should be shredding him for, is he's being so defensive about this rebranding and telling people don't call it Twitter anymore. He dead names his own fucking kid. So like I'm fine with anything that we want to do to make this fucker feel less than, because he's built his entire persona on being this holier than thou fucking bully.
Right.
I would love to see, I love seeing this guy get humiliated because
love
he
it.
thrives on trying to do it to other people.
I know, and I feel like it's now just going to be called like the platform formerly known as Twitter.
That's
Like
funny.
X is just
We're
so
just gonna
like
keep calling it Twitter.
X sucks.
You know what I don't call Staples Center? Crypto Center.
Oh yeah,
I call it Staples Center.
yes.
So I think though, even though we all hate Elon Musk, whatever, I like him. I actually pay for Twitter Premium because I want to reply. Have you ever read the replies to his tweets? They're all so cringe. It's all like exactly who you think. Like
He's a 14-year-old.
Good idea, Elon. It's like, why are you telling the richest man in the world good idea? You got nothing going on, brother.
He like hypes. He like
Anyway,
hypes. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is I actually do think though, because this goes back to, I think, an ongoing conversation about like, we live in this, like, is he actually an asshole for doing this? And I would say yes. Because I think we have this like very corporate, like profit-centered idea, but like none of the users want you to do this. Like we all like the little Twitter bird. I mean,
He's cute.
he's cute. It was like a endearing and beloved brand. And even though it is just like, a logo, whatever, but like to brazenly go against it, 100% agree with this, Jake. Egomaniacally.
It would be like changing when, you know how everyone says Google that. It's basically like changing that.
Yeah.
It's like rebranding Google. And it's just a
100%.
part of our everyday jargon now that we now just have to like change it.
It's raising ire. It's
and what
I
are
think
they
it's
gonna call it?
horrible.
What are they gonna call tweets?
Zeets.
Wait, really?
I think that's what they're saying. XEET.
That's not going to happen.
It's
not gonna happen.
No,
It
no
really
one's gonna
is
do
just
it.
like nobody else wants to do this. Like nobody supports this decision besides the sycophantic like C-suite he's hired or whatever. Like it's bad business. It looks bad. Nobody likes it. It's like there's just such a laundry list of reasons this is not a good idea. And I think for that reason it is sincerely
it
asshole-ish.
weakens it.
It weakens it. It makes no sense on any level.
The only Zeet I like is Zeety.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
That's true, ZD. That is
I
kind of
want some
fun.
baked
There's
ziti.
going to be some
Baked
puns.
ziti.
He's going to get some pun mileage there. We got to give him credit. AITA for changing my company's name and logo because I thought of something way cooler. I just think this was such a disgusting move of hubris and arrogance. A Titanic.
It's all ego.
This was the Titanic. It's the Titan submersible collapsing.
But he's going to keep
in a
making
different way.
decisions like
RIP.
this. He's going to keep he's going to keep trying to build temples to himself that nobody wants to worship at, and it's how his legacy is going to be remembered.
He's getting more Trumpian with time, because I remember there was a while where you're like, oh, he's like unhinged, but he's not bad, and like he's flirted more and more with being like just like forwardly political and stuff. I'm like, why? You have all the money. Can you just have all the money and make cars?
There was a time like 15 years ago where he was very clearly trying to trick everyone into thinking he was Tony Stark, and it was working. Like everyone was like, oh, he wants to build colonies on Mars and disrupt the automobile industry. And then he just kept getting more and more platforms. And he's like, I think the most recent thing I saw is he was hyping up, he's going to reveal his Diablo 4 build. And as somebody who plays video games, I can tell you, no one gives a fuck what anybody else's builds are.
Yeah, good God. AITA for changing my company's name and logo because I thought of something way cooler. I think we agree. YTA.
Hey.
Great feedback here. Guys, please post on our subreddit, reddit.com/r/AITA pod. And thank you to everyone who's been commenting and upvoting and, of course, submitting. We love to see it. This was such an interesting post. So just to bring you guys in briefly, this was regarding a situation where a woman at OP's work brought 100 ants to work, and she was freaking out that ants would colonize the workplace. Well, we got this great comment here from an exterminator. He says, or he or she, no assholes here only because OP doesn't know how ants work. I could see if she's worried because she's unaware of how harmless they are. She thinks this person is bringing in ants and causing the problem. That's not how ants work. Worker ants can't survive without the queen. So if they travel away from their colony, they'll die off. It would never be the case that you can take them from one location to another and then they start spreading. So neither OP or the woman are bringing the ants are assholes. IMO.
Okay, that's valid for sure, but it seemed like it was becoming a problem in the office, wasn't it?
No, I think she was paranoid because she was bringing the ants, but they don't spread. They need the queen.
Gotcha.
They're like this podcast, Shannon. We need you.
No, we need you, honey.
Oh, thank you. Well,
no, Jake forgot him.
Yeah, no, I'm not necessary to this. People.
How did we both lose? I
fight.
tried to give her a compliment, and then I was basically called a queen ant.
I'm essentially just the frosting for people when they get bored listening to you two fight. So that's
good.
Yeah,
that's good. But thanks so much for the submission, OP. We love to learn facts about the world. This person was like an exterminator for like 20 years, which thank you for your service. Am I right?
Thank you.
Fuck them bugs. I said it, people. All right, guys, this is a little sub mini, just something that I kind of summarized. AITA for kicking my roommate out. So OP basically describes taking some rando's word for it that she turned in the leasing paperwork when in fact she didn't. She's like, yeah, I totally did it. So this girl isn't paying her share of the bills. It's been a couple months. OP finds all of this out. She goes to the leasing office and they're like, no, we don't got any record of that person. Like, what are you talking about? OP then confronts the roommate who is now there against the lease contract. Right. So she's not allowed to be there. Then the roommate's like, oh, first says I have stomach cancer. And then OP finds out that they're actually pregnant. Oh. So OP changes the locks on them. And some of her friends are like, oh, you should have like heard her more because she was obviously in a bad situation. AITA.
Oh. Okay, so are they both on the lease?
No, she never went in, so she was lying.
So they just weren't on the lease.
Yeah, because she was like, yeah, I submitted the application. Yep, no problem. And OP's like, oh, okay, sure. It took her on her word, on her verbal word. Get it in writing, people. How many times do I have to say it? But, and so then they were in this situation where the apartment was like, we're going to fine you because you have an unauthorized roommate. That's against the terms. And you just told on yourself.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Oh my word.
I understand people. I mean, to some extent, it's like people get very like black and white about stuff like this. And it's like, this poor girl's pregnant and you're kicking her out. But it's like how about this poor girl misled you? She deceived you. You were basically defrauded. You know, it was a little naive of you to take her on her verbal word. That's a little kooky for me, OP. But they repeatedly lied to your face. Like, you can't share a domicile with someone you can literally not trust. Like, please do not trust this person.
And hopefully this is a learning lesson for you going forward. Like, you know, get it in writing.
Absolutely. You can't take, people hate paperwork. They'll lie.
Yeah, was that the whole issue? She just didn't want to do the paperwork.
I mean, I'm sure that was part of it. Nobody does. AITA, this is another submini. AITA for making my sister get a hotel she can't afford. 22F has a 19F sister. They're not close. 19F wants to stay with a cousin at their apartment for 2 nights while OP's out of town. OP's like, no, 19F then blows up OP's phone saying how dare she not let her, text after text, AITA.
So her sister wanted to stay because OP lives with their cousin. Oh, no. She wants to bring the
sister
cousin.
wants to bring the cousin. And OP was out of town. And she's like, no, I don't want you staying in the place.
She's not close with her.
To me, this is just like classic, family assuming they get everything. It's like, no, you don't get to just stay in my place because you're family. I forgot what their reasoning was, but they were like, we just don't feel comfortable, which is enough of a reason. We just don't want you there is enough of a reason. It's our place. Bye.
Yeah.
And you're not close. You can't just randomly pull the we're family card. It's like,
right. You have to do all of this other stuff to, earn that title. If you're just not close with them, then you can't pull it.
Yeah, and I think that that's a very reasonable boundary is anytime you're talking about somebody just being in your place when you don't have a lot of familiarity with them. It's a reasonable line to set up for yourself.
Absolutely. And you're not going to be there. And she said she might not even have done it even if she was there because that's a lot of people.
Because that also opens the floodgates to like, I have a friend in town. They want to come over. Next thing you know, there's a circus in the apartment. Now you're running a black market circus.
Right.
Oh,
especially when you're not there.
Yeah,
like it's
really
one thing
unsettling.
if you're there and then you're able to kind of monitor what's going on, but Lord knows a 19-year-old, honey, the things I was doing at 19, I would have been trashing the place.
Please put down whatever you're holding. We're getting afraid. She picked up some kind of, what is that, your electric blanket?
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to cover some listener submissions, the listener submish fest. Our second story of the day, AITA for dropping cats off at the park. But first, AITA for not paying for my girlfriend to come on a vacation. My girlfriend and I, both 27F, have been together for 3 months. My friends are planning a 4-day outdoorsy group trip, and she loves hiking and that kind of stuff, so I invited her to come along. She said she'd love to, but she's trying to save money this summer, so she can't. Truth be told, I do make more money than her, and I could afford to pay for her and bring her along, but it's expensive, and I think that sort of thing might create a weird power dynamic between us. My last long-term ship was with someone who quit their job and forced me to pay for everything in our life together, and also forced me into Venmoing thousands of dollars from my bank account. I want things to be equal in this new relationship. I definitely don't think she'd take advantage of me like my ex, but I'm not comfortable paying for something like this right now. But I could. Nobody's called me the asshole, but I feel like one. AITA.
Well, I definitely think that you're setting a good precedent going forward, especially since you had, this trauma from this weird power dynamic in your last relationship. So I think it's really good to set up your new relationship in a different way. I know I've done that in the past, like going into new relationships. You're like, okay, I'm not going to make that mistake again of starting out doing XYZ, and then that becomes the norm. That becomes the precedent that's set.
Yeah, I look up to both of you guys. I think you guys both have really healthy couple dynamics, which has been cool for me to be exposed to.
Thank you.
And I think OP is doing the right thing here. I think a younger Danny Vega would have been like, oh, just pay. But, they've only been together 3 months. And I don't think, I don't know how much this is, but let's just say it's like $500 or something. And, I can see how it just is a good setup. And what I was referring to specifically, I think is you, especially Shannon, I think you have a separate life. I mean, Jake, you've talked about it as well, that you have separate interests from Jackie and you have separate activities that you do. And I think creating separation is actually really important. And a lot of people be like, well, why? You don't want to be with your partner all the time? That means you don't like them. But it's actually, I think, the opposite, that a little bit of absence makes the heart grow fonder. And look, it sounds like this doesn't work for her financially, and that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I think independence in a relationship is a really important thing. It also keeps like the mystery alive a little bit.
Yes.
I feel like we've talked about, doesn't Esther Perel have a thing about that?
Yeah, she actually, one of the case studies I loved reading about was a couple that they didn't excite each other at all. And she actually advised that they stop living together. Yeah. And it worked.
Because when you just become one entity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not sexy anymore.
And especially when, your partner here is saying, oh, you know what? I'm trying to save money. I can't go. You're fine to pass in this situation.
Yeah.
That's okay. You don't need to carry guilt about that. If there was, and you're still developing your norms here.
Right.
I like y'all were alluding to, I think it's really important to leave things that you don't want functioning in a relationship in that relationship when you head into new ones and establish healthy practices as you move forward. So I think you're in the clear here. I don't think you need to have any guilt about this.
Especially within 3 months, you know?
Oh,
you still are so new, and this is the time when you are setting up like how the rest of your relationship is going to be. I think it would be nice like at certain times to be like, you know, paying for each other for specific things. But yeah, maybe your very first trip and then that becomes how it is. And you'll probably be getting triggered from this stuff. So I don't think have any guilt, but I see why you would have this guilt because of how your previous relationship was set up.
That's the one takeaway I think for this OP is like, you know, you were in a fucked up thing, a financially abusive situation. And so this is a touchy topic for you, and you should take note of that because you might, you know, freak out at some other point at something relatively like, hey, can you get my movie ticket? No, I can't get your movie ticket. Yeah. You fucking parasite. You know, just it's a good thing to reflect on.
What happened to Danny and movie tickets?
Hey, Jake, you're paying your own way, buddy.
$27 at AMC for the IMAX experience highway robbery. I don't think it's 27, but it's getting up there.
AITA for not paying for my girlfriend to come on a vacation. I think we agree. It's no assholes here.
No assholes here.
All right, people. Here is Shannon.
AITA for dropping cats off at the park. My husband and I moved into our first home located in a small rural town. Immediately, we noticed that the feral cats in our cul-de-sac like to use our property, front and backyard, as their personal litter box. Oh. I even caught one spraying our front door. I tried calling the closest animal shelters only to be told that our county won't accept cats. The closest that does is over an hour away, and the local animal control won't handle cats because apparently feral cats are a big issue in this town. I've taken it upon myself to get a live trap and capture them. No. At first, I would spray them with a hose and let them go. But after catching over a dozen, I'm convinced the hose is doing no good. I've also tried repellent in so many forms. Nothing has helped. So after capturing them, I started taking them to a local park a few miles away and letting them go. AITA? And if I am, please tell me how to get rid of the problem.
The hose seems to be attracting cats. If
yeah, dozens.
This seems to be. Where are you keeping the trapped cats? Is the next question.
Yeah, is it one of those like crab traps where you go in and then you can't come back out?
Yeah, it has to be. Otherwise, what crazy contraption are you using?
Or it's like one of those like Home Alone things from the ceiling.
It's like that mouse. You guys ever play Mousetrap as a kid? That board game that took forever to set up and wasn't that fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of setup. I thought this was just a kind of a funny issue, but you know, in the end, I think a feral cat is just, you know, it's really it's our fault, but it's a wild animal, you know.
Yeah, what else? It made me very sad. The poor kitties,
kitty cats.
But I mean, you don't have a lot of options here. Your county needs to figure this problem out. This
is pretty wild, and the fact that she's even like capturing them, putting them in her car, and then driving a few miles, it's just like such a funny thing to think about.
Just like a fucking Volkswagen filled with dozens of cats.
I kind of feel like though the fact that she's taking all the cats to the same place, because that was my one thing. I was like, oh, that would suck if you got separated from your kind of cat squad, but they're slowly ending up at the park together. So.
Oh, cool. Ricky's here. We should get you that trap.
Yeah, right.
She's kind of like, you know, reconnecting them. Yeah. It's a party.
I have a hard time dinging here. You tried to go through the proper channels and your county is clearly not. Oh my God, there's a cat crisis in this county. Somebody needs to run on this platform next election cycle. I don't know if you're interested in public office, OP, but maybe you should consider throwing your hat in the ring for animal wrangler or whatever this title is.
Is when they're spraying the front door, is that like with their pheromones or whatever?
Pissing on it.
Oh, they're just
cat piss.
But then doesn't that then attract more cats?
It can, yeah. I mean, they're marking the territory. So technically, by cat law, this is not your house. This is the cat's house. So you should be taking yourself to the park, really, if we're playing by cat law specifically.
Yeah, cat law, that's scary. You don't want to get on the cat's bad side. I do think really like this. Yeah, this is like a problem with the city. It's overrun by cats. I mean, I this is why I think people are very adamantly, about spaying and neutering. So I'll PSA on that note. I don't know what OP should be doing. I mean, I would say this is no different than if you had a problem with a wild animal. You're like, well, got to take it somewhere else, Yeah,
it's definitely the town's responsibility, I would think. Because also, I was telling you the story about how I used to horseback ride on a farm, and we took two of the, there was these feral farm cats, and we took two of them home because we always had a lot of animals growing up, and we went through cats a lot, honestly. They always died somehow.
Oh.
But we had this one cat that my parents got before I was born, and he was in our lives forever. And I don't know why he survived all of them, and he was 10 when he ended up passing away, because we brought these two cats home and they had ringworm, and they ended up giving it to our favorite family cat that was a part of the family, and he ended up dying.
Oh no.
So that's why I'm wondering, are they also a little bit of a danger to pets in any way?
Sure,
of
potentially
getting
yeah.
diseases
I mean,
to them?
that's what I'm saying, where your county really needs to step up and stop treating this like hands in the air. We can't handle this. We don't know what to do. There's no one fit for
We
service.
can't leave the building. We're surrounded by cats.
You got a dozen. We got 50 over here. They've unionized. No, I think that you're not left with a lot of responsibilities here, but I would maybe honestly try to get the town together, go to whatever local municipal building you can, and demand some kind of organization about this, because Shannon's right. There is a health concern here.
Yeah,
I
for
would think
pets.
so.
I mean, it could definitely get worse. AITA for dropping cats off at the park. OP, we don't have the answers. I don't know if the Exterminator would know. Okay, that sounded bad. Maybe post on the sub. Well, this was posted on the subreddit. I don't know that the listenership has the answer, but good luck, OP. And I think this is a reasonable way to deal with this. Maybe someone will come up with a better answer now that we broadcast it.
Oh, yeah. We'll let you know.
No assholes here.
No assholes here.
Yeah, no assholes here.
All
Except
right.
for the county.
Yes.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Over 170 bonus episodes. Oh, and feel free to reach out if you want our free bonus pack. Get a little taste of the Boneyard, 10 Jake and Shannon's, 10 Sarah and I episodes. It's a lot of fun. Speaking of inside baseball, we've got here one of the funniest submissions I've read in some time. It's definitely written by someone looking to make fun in a fun way here. So here we go. AITA, if I told my co-hosts, hey, don't. I am a host of an upcoming successful podcast. Recently, there's been a trend where our guests have been cheekily poking fun at my tropes, and I just want to turn down the heat on the stove. I have tropes like the 2021 Volkswagen Passat is the peak of human engineering. Wakeboarding is the best, and I recently had a guest poke fun of it. Also, one of my co-hosts, Sharon, has been yes-anding this material, and it's gotten me bothered, even though she has tropes like putting her hair over the plane seat and waffle stomping in the shower. Our other co-host, Jared, who is a saint, has been acting like the glue that holds us together and keeps everything civil. I truly do love and respect Sharon, but I feel sometimes the bickering can get too much and our content suffers. Would I be the asshole if I told guests and Sharon to simmer down on the teasing? I also do remember this is all in good fun and there is nothing I should truly be offended by them. AITA.
Well, Jared sounds hot and is probably remarkably interesting to talk to.
There we go.
He really does.
Saint Jared.
Saint
I
Jared.
recently said something to Shannon. I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, I was like, we had this meeting where we were working on jokes, and I was like, oh yeah, Shannon's not welcome. It's a safe space for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, Shannon, I'm just joking. You're totally welcome, but just don't use any of her weird emojis because you've been using that sweaty one. I don't like that guy sweating.
He keeps saying he thinks every emoji has a sexual connotation.
I don't like that.
He got on me about the devil.
She used the purple devil.
The devil one's fine
It's like I'm being
context.
You can't just throw out a purple devil.
Yes, you can.
If my mom threw out a purple devil, that would be a trauma. That's weird.
Yeah, but I'm not being sexual about it. I'm being mischievous.
Nobody uses the purple
Yes,
devil
they
that
do.
way.
I do.
Nobody uses the
Yes,
purple
they
devil that way.
do.
That's crazy, Shannon.
Yes, they
I just want to
do.
point out that in a post where we are being lightly jabbed about our bickering,
Yeah.
you two are bickering.
Do you use the purple devil that way?
I don't use a lot of emojis, frankly.
I
Like
rest
I'm
my
Look,
pretty.
the,
I'm pretty.
the two he's
sparse.
talking about that he's on me about. The other one is the hot one with like the tongue out and sweating.
Which can
that
also
yes,
just
it
be-
can
Don't
mean sexual,
send me
but it's
that
also
emoji.
hot.
It
Like
can also
what-
just be hot.
No, I don't like those little beads of sweat.
I feel like you need
So
to
you
work
don't
on your
want them
relationship
even when
with
people are-
emojis.
It's two. Can I have a 2 emoji boundary? I think it's reasonable.
That's fine,
No,
but,
but
if
you-
you're like talking to a girl, you don't want them to send that either.
Well, I'm saying you.
Okay, me.
You also don't like the water droplet one, which I'm kind of with you on. That is
Thank
exclusive.
you.
That is exclusively for
Thank you.
risque
Yeah.
material.
That's
No,
not
and
like I was sending that
don't
one in the
either.
eggplant emoji and stuff.
No, nobody sends the eggplant anymore.
Oh, okay. I don't
mean,
know.
I
You know, I'm
know.
a townie. I'm not in the game.
Yeah, that's the
anymore.
other thing.
I
we
feel
learned
like
about
already
it.
Peach
talked
also got normied. I feel
Which
like
one?
the Peach, like everybody used the
Oh,
Peach
that's
so
played
much.
out
Yeah, but it's
now.
like it's been normied now where it's on like articles of clothing and it's at tourist shops around town. It's
Yeah.
like, we're all I feel like the emoji movie really jumped the shark on emojis in general. So at this point,
I saw the emoji movie at 10 a.m. in Times Square, right?
no.
Alone in a
Wow.
theater.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
You don't know about this?
No.
I posted
Why
on
would we know
Facebook
about this?
that if I get 200 likes, I would go see the Emoji Movie alone in Times Square
You
at 10
made
a.m.
the stakes
Oh
way
my
too
God.
low,
Yeah.
man.
And I saw
Well, he
it.
wanted to do it.
I
Was
love
it
emojis?
What was it like? I've never seen
I've
it.
seen it. I didn't think it was as bad as
You
people
saw
thought.
it? You just saw it for no reason?
Yeah. I love animated movies.
I do too, but I kind of hated it for that reason. Like it's
It wasn't as bad as they thought. TJ Miller, you're fine. You're fine.
No, TJ Miller is
Anyway.
not fine. That
always
dude's calling
going
in
through
bomb
something.
threats on buses. He needs
That was a
help.
couple years ago.
Yes, but he's still
I
like
think he's straightened out.
I'd
but
hope
anyway,
so.
I think. Look, I like the jokes. I can take the jokes. I can even take a purple devil in a little sweat thing. But that's not sexy. Don't send that little sweat thing. That's weird. That's weird.
Oh, you don't even want a girl you're talking to send that?
I find it very. I honestly, it's because somebody sent it to me and it was unwanted.
You got the ick.
I got the ick. Don't
All
send
right,
me
well,
that sweaty
write in
one.
and let us know if those can be used in the context that they're meant to be used
No.
for, aka mischievousness
send a purple
and
devil.
hotness.
Don't-
No, we're
that's
just
crazy.
asking.
Don't send the purple devil.
Okay, but listen up. Back to this post.
Well, what I was gonna say is I like the teasing. It's fun.
Yeah, but now I'm wondering, do the people not like it because he's saying? Is he truly saying he doesn't like it, or he's
pretending
reading
to be
from
me.
you? Yeah. Or they, or she. Well, somebody defended me.
Yeah, here we go.
What a
Or
shock.
defended Sharon.
Oh God, here we go.
YTA, Sharon sounds like a very funny and beautiful co-host who you should always listen to.
And
I
said,
tend to agree. I
No.
love the Sharon girl.
No, I replied that was not playing it as it lays. There was no mention of Sharon's appearance here, and
Yeah, but she
this
sounds
comment is invalid.
hilarious.
Well, hilarious, but they said beautiful. That's not here. It's not playing it as it lays.
Wow. Sharon is a beautiful name.
Y'all ever see Return of the King? The third Lord of the Rings movie. There's a scene in that where I'm going somewhere with this. I feel like whenever I
Good
picture,
sense I was trying.
Well,
to
I know you're trying to scoop past this. You'll like this.
Fine, here we
It's
go.
a comment on how I feel the listener base responds to Shannon. The listener base likes Danny. They think I'm fun. They sometimes have complicated relationships with Danny,
Yeah.
but with Shannon, it's like the orcs in Return of the King going Grond, except it's Shannon. They will just line up. They will rob a bank if you
It's
tell them.
Sharon. We're talking about Sharon.
Okay,
Sharon.
Sharon.
BJD 1989. No assholes here. The relationship you have with your co-hosts and listeners is all about poking fun, but it is okay to voice your opinion on a topic if it bothers you that they are poking fun. You guys have never really crossed my boundaries or anything. I mean, you guys are good about that.
Okay, good. I don't know what your boundaries are. I've
Well-
been trying to figure it out.
That's one of your best jokes. I really like that. Well, I mean, you did piss me off a little bit, but you got me. You won. When you went on and on about the vegetables and I should eat vegetables.
Oh, I didn't know you were really pissed off about that. I was going harder on it because he was videotaping, so I thought it was a funny
I thought we were
bit.
doing it.
No, you were going on quite a bit before we got the camera out.
No,
Not really.
I pulled it out as soon as you said I don't think vegetables are that important.
Yeah, I mean,
because I thought you were doing
but
a bit.
you were offering unsolicited advice. I mean, you never do stuff like that.
Okay,
Really.
well, I'm passionate about this.
No,
and haven't you been eating veggies since?
I have, and I was gonna say you got me. I mean, it was you maybe could have if you had brought it in a little bit. I mean, it was funny. It was funny the way you brought it in. It was a funny interaction. But
I don't even remember. Oh, it was at the live show.
Well, no, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in the car after. I got a protein bar, and you were like, "I'm just worried." You didn't even say I'm just worried. You were just like, you shouldn't be doing that. It was more like that energy is like, you should be eating more vegetables. You don't even eat vegetables.
Yeah, he only eats protein.
Yeah, and so whatever. You were right. You were right.
Yeah.
It was
But it was unsolicited advice, and he got very good.
What?
Safe to say. It was
What?
unsolicited advice, and you got a little triggered by it, right?
No, not
Annoyed.
Yeah, well, it's annoying. Like if you had brought it in as like, hey, Danny, can I just make an observation about your diet as a concerned friend? If you had brought it in that way.
So that would have been more that because to me, remember we were just talking about how politeness is on Chelsea, my sister's episode, how the politeness of rudeness or the rudeness of politeness. If I came that polite with it, wouldn't it be like, all right, why are you coming at me so like caringly about this? Like I just thought I'd be like, hey, you need some veggies in your life.
You were obviously, you didn't, it's just the only time you'd done that, I guess. So it was a little unexpected. I don't know. That's a good question. Would I say?
It would have felt more serious and like.
Yeah. Now the OP also, I think this is because if you auto generate a name on Reddit, it's like noun, 4-digit number. Coincidentally, their name was Rare Horse 7429, which sounds like what my name is, Horse Duckman.
I know. That's why I thought it was you. Like I thought when he said this to us, I was like, you fucking wrote that.
No,
I thought it was hilarious.
I knew it wasn't Danny because he would have been way meaner to you.
That's true.
And way more complimentary of himself.
So they replied that as me, right? They're pretending to be. He wrote, thanks. I was hoping to solve this issue with some mussy pics. Is that an option? They got me.
Love it.
Speaking of mussy pics, I have elected a director of simpography, and I'm really like I'm learning. I'm getting good coaching. Backward, he's like, put the hat backwards, get closer to the mirror. I'm really like stepping up my mussy pics. I'm pretty excited.
Wait, who is this? Someone's
actually
sending pictures.
Yes, and let me say I'm proud of this because I know I had made a jab at anime people, and he's an anime people. He got like the whatever profile pic on Twitter is an anime.
Okay,
Is this
that's
your
pretty
friend,
deep in the
though?
weeds.
What?
Is this a friend of
No, he's
yours?
a listener.
And you're sending him pictures to approve to send to others?
Yes, exactly. He's basically like he's the
What
director
is
of
going
simpography.
on?
That's
So-
pretty crazy, bud.
What's crazy about it?
The more you tell us about your interactions with the listeners, the more.
He's been I've known this guy for years.
Okay, so he's kind of a friend.
And he asked for the simp pictures, and so I sent him some.
Wait, this isn't the one from last
no,
story.
that guy's gone.
But then you also recently sent a mussy pic to someone else too.
Yeah. You know.
So are
I don't
these
think-
mirror pics?
Yeah, they're just mirror pics.
And are you like flexing?
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to figure it out.
Are you
know?
are you smiling?
So the director of simpography is kind of anti-smile for the simps. He says that's
smirk.
not for
I would
dating.
say
You,
so.
you smirk in a cocky picture, right? You give a little smirk.
I don't know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
doing. You know, I'm told that I don't know how to eat. I'm told I don't know how to simp.
Well, that's
I
why
don't
we're
know.
here to help you.
I'm trying to be helped.
I don't think you needed to out this person as an anime person either. That seemed very
Well, that was for me
unnecessary.
because I
Okay.
want the anime people to know that, you know, it was a joke.
Because I'm like I wouldn't say I'm an anime person, but
No,
I'm a
you're
fan
not.
I'm a fan of the medium. I think that it's a beautiful
You're
art
not an
form.
anime person.
Okay, fine.
AIT
Tell me what I am more.
What?
Tell me what I am more.
You're not.
Okay,
you're
fine.
You're D&D way more than
I'm-
anime.
You can be both. People have
I have
layers.
dog.
Yeah, but think about it. He talks about D&D 50 times more than anime.
Because it's more relatable to people.
I don't know about that.
AITA, if I told my co-host, hey, don't, I think we agree, no assholes here?
Yeah, no assholes
Sure.
here.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap up on this. Man, oh man, we haven't done a stitch like this in a while. This is just an epic, epic tale. So strap in. It's kind of a long one, but man, this OP really, they went all the way out with it. AITA for ruining high school graduation. I, 18F, am a high school valedictorian at a Catholic school, and I've always tried really hard in school. Now, my best friend, 18F Sarah, was the opposite. Sarah was a bit distracted, but maintained a B average. She always got a lot of attention from boys, and we went to a Catholic school, and they would always say, like, oh, her skirts were too short, and they weren't. Her hair was distracting. It's just curly. And she was causing disruptions. Yeah, the boys were passing her notes. Sarah didn't invite the attention. She was just a beautiful girl with a sparkly personality. And yeah, sometimes she joked in class, but it wasn't disrespectful. Like, she was a victim of misogyny. It was a Catholic school. Anyway, Sarah ended up getting into a top musical theater program in NYC for after college. Because of this, she was away from class due to rehearsals or touring. She attended video classes and worked remotely, but teachers hated it and would use her as an example of a bad student. Who does that? One teacher did love her, though. That was the music teacher. And per annual tradition, he advocated that she sing at graduation. Well, the vice principal disagreed, mainly because she regarded Sarah as quote unquote disruptive. A spat ensued and the VP eventually gave in. Sarah would sing. Then, a few weeks later, Sarah was called into the VP's office and told with a smile on the VP's face that due to the class size, we just have to cut your song, Sarah. The class was only 120 people. Previous classes were 200. Sarah was heartbroken. So the music teacher and I devised a plan. We teamed up with several students doing the production. After I gave my valedictorian speech, I'd call Sarah to the stage at graduation to sing. If they wanted to call her disruptive, then hell, we would be disruptive. I feel like this montage part kicks in.
Yeah.
You know? Some of the faculty. So the day of graduation finally came. I gave my speech and at the end called her to the stage under the guise of her being my biggest support system. I gave her a hug, handed her the mic, and watched our VP's eyes bulge out of her head. Her head looked like it was about to pop off. As Sarah sang. And after Sarah smiled at the VP and returned to her seat. Some of the faculty on stage looked pissed, but most everyone thought the stunt was funny. Our class went wild because they knew what we went through to do it. Once again, Sarah was the quote unquote disruptive hero. So as they began to call our names, we lined up in alphabetical order to walk the stage. But when Sarah's turn came, she was noticeably skipped. Sarah was standing at the edge of the stage waiting while other students who were supposed to follow her were forced to walk past. I thought it was a mistake, but as VP went down the list, it was clear she wasn't going to call Sarah. She reached the end of the list, looked at Sarah and smiled and returned to her seat on stage as Sarah just stood off to the side. The final words before the throwing of the hats began to be spoken, and Sarah just stood there calmly. I knew I had to do something, so I got up from my seat and began to clap while chanting Sarah's name. The whole class followed. Sarah walked up the stage, took a selfie with our principal and VP as they shot daggers through their eyes at her, flashed a peace sign to the crowd, and took off her cap to lead the throwing of the caps. We never actually finished graduation because my class decided to end it ourselves. After the ceremony, we were rushed into a corner and yelled at. We sort of just walked off while they yelled that we ruined graduation and we wouldn't be receiving our diplomas. Well, it's true. We never did, but we didn't care. I don't feel bad about sticking up for my friend, but every time I tell the story, I get mixed opinions. AITA.
Is this the plot of High School Musical 5? This sounds like a goddamn
This really
movie.
does, but it gave me chills. It was a good story.
I really don't get what it is with high school faculties and this like oppressive control they try to maintain over graduation ceremonies. And, oh, we're not going to give you your diploma. Cool, dog. No one has ever in the history of high school said, I want to see your high school diploma.
Right.
That is not something you
true.
get background checked on.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, I'm a little bit confused at the top here about like, so wait, she ended up getting into the musical theater program at NYC. So
It's a post-college program. I don't know. Let's not think about it too much.
I know, but I'm confused by the like, why is she so disruptive just because she was so beautiful?
Yeah, that part does make sense. I mean, I've been heavily dinged for this before, which is fair, but like, a lot of, especially in a Catholic school, I can see this playing out. But like, if you're a cute girl, you are a distraction to the boys. And it's like, this is what I've learned. Why are you putting that on the girl?
Yeah,
it's the boys
absolutely.
who are engaging with her. It's the boys who are being distracted, and they and their parents need to have responsibility for the boys' behavior. See, I've learned, people. I've learned. I've grown.
Growth, baby.
I'm trying.
I think that this just reeks of a really weird, toxic high school in general. The energy that this girl's dealing with is crazy. And I think that the harder that you fight to try to control a graduation environment, the harder the kids are going to push back, because this isn't even like working on a 2 weeks notice. This isn't a situation where you have to keep your bridges unburnt. You never know if you're going to run into somebody else in the same field at a different company. This is high school. Yeah. It's done. They're gone. They're never going to need your approval again, unless by some circumstance they want to get into teaching and cross your path as a fellow faculty member 5, 6, 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
So the stakes are so crazy low, and it's on the adults, the faculty here, who are setting themselves up to be embarrassed, because the harder that you push, they have nothing to lose. Right. There is absolutely nothing you can actually do to them except withhold this piece of paper that nobody cares about.
And OP is so great. Like, she's just a ride or die for her friend. I love it. She got her to sing. Yeah. She chanted her name.
And I think there's also something that I like here too, is you can tell, I think that there is a little bit of like, I think healthy response to like, wow, she has such an impact on people. And, that's an easy thing to become jealous of. It's an easy thing. I've certainly become resentful of some friends who have elements to themselves that I don't quite possess, especially when I was younger, primarily. Yeah. But I think that it's very admirable that you see how unfair this is to your friend. And despite this, like, little bit of like, you're growing up, you're recognizing like, oh, wow, you have all these gifts. You're not going better. You want to empower your friend. You want to celebrate her for these gifts that she has. It's really admirable. I think that's great.
I think what you're on about, and we're talking also about a past situation where I forgot what it was. Oh yeah. The kid brought his brother up to the high school graduation.
Yes. And
I think a lot of high school teachers have this very like micro. It's like there's a great quote. God, this is a deep cut. Did you guys ever see Bowling for Columbine? It doesn't matter. No. But there's a great quote. It's a movie about school shootings. Yeah, it was made 20 years ago. It was a problem then too. God, that's depressing to think about. But anyway, there's a great interview there with like the creators of South Park, and they were talking about how like they were losers in high school and how high school feels like the real world. And it feels like the whole world when you're in it. And I feel like a lot of teachers actually do, because of their own ego and their own pettiness, support that view and don't let people like get a better idea of the fact that like this is actually just a tiny, tiny sliver of your life, and honestly probably won't matter. It really probably won't matter 10 years from now who you were in high school. It certainly hasn't mattered for me. I had a lot of friends in high school. So where I was going with this is that these teachers acting this way, and by the way, why are they coming for Sarah? Because she's a cute girl at a Catholic school, sure. Mm-hmm. But it's also because she isn't participating in high school. She's participating in her future. And that's what they're reacting to, which is very petty.
It's like, how dare you move on before we told you can move on.
Exactly.
And I do think bad faculty members, bad teachers, they invoke this idea that high school is the real world as a method of control. All the best teachers, the best instructors, the best mentors I ever had, they keep things in perspective. The best bosses I've ever had, they don't influence you by saying work is everything. This is your life. This is what you do. The best bosses, the best leaders, they keep things in perspective, and they say like, look, this is your job. You've got a life outside of this. I want to help you succeed here. So your life outside of this place is better for it.
Right.
That's the way to motivate. Healthy. And it's healthy, but they're trying to do that thing. And I met so many teachers, they invoke the permanent record that is never going to come up in your day-to-day life.
Never.
But like,
let me see a record from high school.
Yeah, it's just like, Harvard Business School really values people who obey graduation rules. Like that just doesn't happen.
It's not a thing.
Yeah. And also, just because you don't walk doesn't mean you don't graduate. Does it?
Yeah,
No, you like they got it. Like if somebody,
They can't.
if for whatever reason a college calls and says, "Hey, they graduated from your school," right? I think they can say like, "Well, they didn't walk for disciplinary reasons, but yes, they graduated with this GPA."
yeah.
I don't even know the rules of that. That might not be true.
I feel like you just submit your transcript. You're not like they're not gonna like call your.
They like save it as a PDF and then write and text over it. Did not walk.
I think that's
They
ridiculous.
sassed us.
OP, I think the worst I could say about you is that this is a validation post and possibly the summary of a movie. AITA for ruining high school graduation. I think it's a whopping. You're the hero.
It's a YTH.
Yes.
It was a fun story though.
Love it.
No matter what.
Yeah,
one
you
of my
keep that in
favorites.
your back
Super
pocket.
cool.
You're gonna. That's a good party story. You keep
I
that.
love the selfies with the
Yeah.
You can just see their flat face.
Now that's a selfie.
There we go. There we go. That's the app, folks. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye. I'm not doing it.
Bye.